Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comedian and host of Bachelor in Paradise, a guy's review. We have watched episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Season 7 of Bachelor in Paradise. Victoria Larson went home, episode 2. We're going to get into all of that, but something a little bit more concerning in his conversation around tone policing. Now, listen, nobody is more confused than I am when new terms come out. And what does this mean? What are we trying to do? We're trying to deconstruct by using shows like Bachelor in Paradise, the different social situations, these experiments of dating and living together on a beach and all that. We're trying to deconstruct sort of little microaggressions that happen and better ways to acknowledge them when we see them. That way, when we move forward in life, we can sort of avoid them and understand our own pitfalls and how we've possibly been trained to act a certain way. All right, so do me a favor, like this button, subscribe if you haven't already, and join the Patreon if you want for additional content, patreon.com/Dave Neal. Of course, right here, I've got Tahzjuan, formerly, I believe, from Colton Underwood's season. Correct me if I'm wrong. She's on Bachelor in Paradise. She's fantastic. I don't know if she'll still be single by the time the next Bachelorette rolls around, but she's got my vote. She's interesting. She's funny. I think she'd be great. She's kind of like fangirling when Riley shows up. She's got all these things going on. But unfortunately, she's met by Victoria Larson, who is just, queen bully from Matt James' season. She's really doesn't communicate in a healthy way. She'll sort of throw gasoline on situations, then walk away. As I like to say, she'll fart in an elevator and get out of the shaft. I mean, Victoria Larson does just that. And in this clip I'm going to share with you, which I hope the clip itself doesn't get taken down. Sometimes when I share some of these licensed clips, they get taken down, so I'm going to keep it very short. Tahzjuan comes up to Victoria Larson to tell her basically to lay off her man. And they have a very calm conversation until Victoria Larson, when pressed about not being, sincere, calls Tahzjuan aggressive. We'll talk about what that means to call a black woman aggressive, the microaggressions that exist there that have kind of existed. It exists in different ways. We'll talk about it. But first, let's play this clip real quick.
Genuine.
I need to take a minute because
you need to take a minute.
You're coming aggressively towards me.
Oh, and now you want good energy? Now, we're back to that. Oh,
this confirms you're
take a moment.
Nuts.
Take a moment.
Nuts.
Don't get mad at me because you're trying to make a last-ditch effort.
You're crazy.
You're crazy.
Oh, no.
Now, when she said you're crazy, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt because she said that walking away, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bachelor Nation inserted that. But she did call her aggressive. We did see that. So we're going to get into this conversation and talk a little bit about it. Because I am the last person to know anything about it, but we can all do some Googling. Do your research, they said, so we will. The microaggressions towards black women you might be complicit in at work. Now, it's one thing for people of color to be talking about this. It's another for vanilla boy Dave over here to talk about it, and that's a good thing because we can look at it from maybe sort of a blissful place where we go, oh my gosh, we didn't even know this was a thing. We didn't even know it was a thing when Chris Harrison asked Rachel Lindsay if she was angry. So we'll get into that story too. But let's just read a couple paragraphs here. If you identify as a woman, you're probably well versed in these subtle yet damaging gender microaggressions. Have probably even complained about them and the men who perpetuate them to people you feel safe around. There's no denying the fact that no matter your racial identity, being a woman in the workplace is tough. The fact of the matter is, being a black woman in the workplace is even tougher. Why? Because not only are they subjected to gender-driven microaggressions, they're also being subjected to racial ones from, and here's the crucial part, both men and women. Of course, on Bachelor in Paradise, we're talking about from women, specifically Victoria Larson. I'm also going to share Victoria P and the microaggressions she had against James, which is a white-on-white microaggression. So it's not just a race issue here. Race is involved, but it's not just a race issue. It's basically about the idea that people that don't have a case, people that aren't maybe as enlightened, will assume someone else is angry, hostile, aggressive when they can't defend whatever opinion or point of view they had. So instead of Victoria Larson speaking to Tahzjuan, Tahzjuan called her out, and rightfully so. Victoria Larson was guilty as charged, and instead of just saying, yeah, you're right, I was kind of hitting on your man, blah, 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 X, Y, and Z, she goes, well, you're being aggressive, I gotta go. It's like, oh, come on. You can't have a conversation, Victoria? I thought you changed. Come on. So we're going to just shimmy on down here to the tone policing part. You can find these conversations on the internet very easily if you Google them. I just missed it. Where did it go? Hold on a second, folks. So of course, this is written for the workplace, but I think that's because most people aren't in scenarios such as Bachelor in Paradise, where they're actually having to have these tough conversations where microaggressions may exist. So this could be in your friend group, not just the workplace. But of course, the workplace, we want everyone to be treated equally. We want everyone to have equity and equal opportunity and an equal chance to succeed. We just want everyone to start at the starting line. I don't think that's too much to ask for. Tone policing based on racial stereotypes. I remember once being informed by my white female manager that I was quite assertive in meetings, recalls global publicist Brenda Gabriel. It was said in the way that indicated she wanted to say aggressive. Now, which is funny because Victoria Larson actually said aggressive. In this one, she said assertive. It was said in the way that indicated she wanted to say aggressive. To be honest, I wasn't assertive enough. As a project manager, I would attend team meetings and make suggestions for the way forward and be ignored. 2 minutes later, my male white manager would say exactly the same thing as me, and it would be cooed over and added to the action list. Black women have dealt with the angry stereotype for years, enforced by a white privileged agenda to stamp out their voices and keep them quiet. Often labeled aggressive or over-assertive, black female professionals are regularly subjected to tone policing, as a silencing tactic used by oppressors throughout history. With Victoria Larson, best case scenario, Victoria Larson treats everybody like this. She's probably an all lives matter type of person. No, I'm rude to everybody. I wouldn't be surprised if she would accuse anybody of being aggressive. But in this instance, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with Tahzjuan and the fact that this happened. And you know what? I haven't seen anything really in the media about it. I saw one blip about it in this article I'm about to show you. But when I watched it, I was like, yikes. And I'm not easily offended. And in fact, I am not offended by this. It's not my place to be. It's just my place to call it out. It's almost like if you're watching a sword fight and, someone kind of gets the other person but doesn't slice their arm off. It's like, all right, point for you. It's a little jab there. Microaggressions are just a little jabs, but over and over throughout time, the more little jabs you kind of hit somebody with, and if you don't know you're doing them and other people don't know they're doing them, it weighs over time. It weighs over time. Before flagging up a black female colleague or employee's tone, ask yourself this. Are you focusing more on the way she is speaking rather than what she is saying? And would you have the same issue if it were a white woman or man speaking in that way? I don't have the bandwidth right now to go through all of Victoria Larson's things she said because, like I said, she's a Tommy gun of insults. She sort of called Demi an idiot the previous episode. Demi's a white woman, so she called her an idiot too. So I'm gonna give Victoria Larson the benefit of the doubt that she's just rude to everybody, but it doesn't mean we can't have this conversation. Again, because I'm not calling Victoria Larson racist. I'm not, I'm not talking about binary things, good versus evil. I'm just saying maybe it's good to recognize this. So I love this quote, and this is good for anybody. This is good for all of us. This is good for all of us. Are you focusing more on the way she is speaking rather than what she is saying? And would you have the same issue if it were a white woman or a man speaking in that way? So, of course, that's very interesting to hear. Oh, I get a phone call from Tasha. Hold on a second. I do apologize, folks. Hello, you're on the air.
Okay, well, never mind then.
What were you calling for?
Let's see if you want to go to Starbucks.
I do. I'm going to be done with this in like 5 minutes. You want me to meet you outside?
Sounds great.
What time will you be home?
It's about 15 minutes.
Oh, 15? Okay, I'll meet you outside.
All right, love you, bye.
I love you too, bye. All right, it's pumpkin spice latte season, folks. Tasha and I are going to get pumpkin spice lattes. The whitest thing in the world you can do. Is it? I don't know. PSL. All right, sorry. We're going to keep this conversation going. All right, so, and they have other examples. Asking a black female colleague uninvited questions about her hair is a microaggression, implying that her natural hair is either messy or unprofessional. So there's different things you can go down the list. We're talking about Victoria Larson here specifically, and of course, I mean this was just for a few months ago. We covered this story. Rachel Lindsay recalls Chris Harrison calling her angry during The Bachelorette. It follows me around to this day. Now, it's got to be tough because I genuinely believe Chris Harrison was interviewing Rachel Lindsay. I believe they were on a commercial break, and he was like, "Are you angry?" Like, I can understand the line of questioning where you would want to ask that, but I guess the issue was not having the grace to understand the sensitivity around that all. So I think it's okay. We say, oh, we want to treat everyone equally, but with microaggressions, with issues that have existed, to certain genders and racial groups over time, you don't maybe want to ask certain questions that way. So maybe do a better job, like in Chris Harrison's case, of of asking the question in a way that would empathize with why Rachel might not be feeling good about a situation. She said, sadly, I can relate to it, both in real life and also when I was on The Bachelorette, the former attorney explained during her appearance on the talk show. In my season finale of The Bachelorette, when I was sitting on stage with my runner-up, Peter, my runner-up told me I would live a mediocre life if I didn't choose him. So she had to deal with all that, saying I'm living my best life. When I came back from a commercial break, the host, Chris Harrison, asked me, Rachel, you seem angry. I looked and I said, that's a strong word. And he said, well, you seem upset. She explained, I hadn't raised my voice. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't said any type of curse word. So there just seems to be maybe a different standard held where people are saying like, oh boy, here it comes. And, we all know how it is in relationships. If you ask your partner to calm down, you're going to get a remote control thrown at you. Okay. So this is the only place on the internet. I'm not saying it doesn't exist anywhere else. I actually couldn't even find a conversation happening on any of the Bachelor subreddits, The Bachelor or Bachelor People of Color. And I do apologize if it did exist. There's so much different content coming out. So this was in Refinery 29. The cast was similarly unmoved in the same episode when Victoria Larson sobbed and called Tahzjuan Hawkins, a dark-skinned black woman, aggressive and crazy for approaching her with gentle criticism. This article is more about Victoria P, because Victoria P offered similar criticism to James. Again, a lot to cover here, but James was having a conversation with her about the fact that she sort of was lying about a past relationship that she might have had. And anyway, he was very calm, and she was like, hey, I feel like you're getting kind of aggressive here. So James comes up to her and asks her what it's all about. Victoria P acted the same way Victoria L did. When Victoria L couldn't withstand simple questioning, she goes, I feel like you're acting kind of aggressive, walks away and calls Tahzjuan a psycho. Here's what Victoria P does. It's very well explained here in Refinery 29. She says, James asks casual questions to understand the gossip around Victoria. She gets defensive, claiming this is a freaking lot and demanding James relax a little bit. As someone in such a calm position, he is practically sliding off of a beach daybed. James is the picture of relaxation. So it's just, we look at these scenarios here on Bachelor in Paradise. And while it's not scripted, there's obviously archetypes. There's people that come in with bold personalities. But we also get to see people that are just poor at communicating, one being Victoria Larson and one being Victoria Paul. And in both scenarios, they had this counter-dependent moment where instead of having the conversation, they both exited. Victoria Larson calling Tahzjuan aggressive and a psycho, while Victoria P says James needs to relax and calm down, and she ends up self-eliminating. Not being able to withstand normal levels of criticism is not a place to be if you're trying to get into a relationship. Because let me tell you something, okay, folks, you have to understand when you're in a relationship, people are your significant other, they're gonna come at you on a bad day or a good day. You need to have grace to understand they're trying their best. You need to have grace to understand they're going to have a different style of communication. There's going to be gender differences. There's going to be so many differences in a relationship, and some interracial relationships, a whole nother level of differences that you're going to have to learn about each other. What's difficult about Bachelor in Paradise is a lot of these people, they're not sleeping much, they're drinking, they're hanging out without their cell phones on a beach somewhere, and they're all trying to get roses. They're all trying to get relationships. It's Bachelor on steroids. But it doesn't mean we can't call out silly things like Victoria Larson calling Tahzjuan aggressive when we see it. It's tone policing as a microaggression, and it's important to learn these terms because when we shine light into the dark places, we understand that sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. So by learning a little bit about this, even though I'm not eloquent at all in explaining it, we sort of learn that we might be doing it in our own social situations, and maybe we can find a new and better way to communicate. Let me know what you guys think about this. Again, I'm giving so much grace to different people here. I'm giving so much grace to Victoria Larson that she's not specifically calling a black woman aggressive, but that she kind of treats everyone with this poor lack of communication. But I'm also giving a gold star to Tahzjuan for not giving Victoria Larson the fuel there. She was like, you know what? she came at it. She was like perfectly calm and talked in a way where she was able to kind of like, state her case, cross-examine the witness, and unlike in a room of law, in a court of law, Victoria Larson, she just left the podium. She was like, all right, I got to go. Court's dismissed. You're a psycho, and she leaves. Listen, Victoria Larson, you can get far in life, but I feel like it's exhausting to assume everyone else is just aggressive and a psycho. Due to the law of attraction, you kind of get what you put out there. So, I don't know, maybe try to listen to what she's saying and not the tone of which you're perceiving it, because that's a defensive place to be. And as Victoria Paul would let you know, you don't get much by playing the victim out there. You can only do that for so long. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. I know this was a lot to cover here. We'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.